such a great sound because obviously it was recorded from an actual living creature, and that's why it's got this...
Or maybe dying.
Living, dying, as tempting.
Cynation TV.
Oh yeah!
Welcome back to another episode of The Evolution of Creation. This time I did not forget, before we go any further, please subscribe and like, and most importantly, share these videos with absolutely everyone you know.
Do it!
Do one of those freaking like shares where you say like, if you don't pass this on to another 10 friends, everyone dies.
Yeah, what happened to that? We gotta bring that shit back.
Right. So we're continuing on with our Night Gaunts project. Last episode we talked about writing the music in the more conventional way and a couple of little tricks on the guitar.
Well, it was the Night Gaunts as a song.
Right. Now we're talking about, which is something new for me as well, the first time where we're going to be scoring music to a film.
Right. I also realized I started breaking out into an accent, but I'm gonna have to talk a bit seriously on this one. So you're gonna finally hear my real voice for once.
Please do.
Alright.
So before we go any further, let's start the screen recording.
Set screen recording. Set up the piano camera.
Okay, so we'll be cutting between the different camera angles. This is new for us, so if it gets a bit weird and confusing, let us know. We're trying our best here.
Half best.
So what we've got here is GarageBand. As you can see, we have our Spitfire strings here, and over here you have the Night Gaunt soundtrack. You can bring your movie in and score directly to the movie.
So it feels legitimate.
Yeah, so it's kind of irrelevant. Your metronome here, you know, there's really no point because it depends what the song is going to be. I mean, the film.
Well, in this case, the film is, you know, the scoring for this section is going to be more like a sort of like when you see those CSI live scorings where it's more about creating atmosphere rather than sort of, you know, playing an actual score, like a Hans Zimmer score alongside it.
Mm-hmm. So let's start with the beginning of Night Gaunts.
Hold up. There was meant to be something there.
No, there wasn't. I'm just showing you how we're going to start from.
Oh, okay. I'm not following the program.
Alright, so to begin with, as you can see, that's kind of boring to, you know, just watch having that room noise and all that. It's not very cinematic, is it? So we're going to start with something called, from Labs, Spitfire Labs. This is called Scary Strings Stretched. Which we talked about in the last episode about the Devil's Tritone. So we're continuing that. The funny thing about Scary Strings Stretched is that it already has this unnerving sort of quality to it.
I think it's because it's got this double layer. If you've got that one consistent and there's this flutter, you know, there's this underlying flutter that's really it's an insidious wobble. Like a demonic butterfly.
Mm-hmm. And then let's have a look at it now with these scary strings. Something's not right.
That's too early.
Oh, I'll tell you what's not right.
What?
I remember now.
What happened?
These scary string stretch were for the first part where...
When the book opens.
No. They're not meant to be in here.
Oh! Yes.
Yes, because we forgot after we did this, we realized we needed an opening intro.
Mm-hmm.
So Aaron was going to use this sound, which I put out separately.
Why don't you open up the YouTube file, Mike, so you can just show people the opening set. See, when the filmmaker and the composer don't even know what's going on, you know, you gotta improvise, right? But no, some of these things, you know, in the filmmaking process, they happen as you go. You start figuring things out. We decided you shouldn't just jump straight into the scene. We wanted some kind of build-up. Here we go. That's what that was for.
Exactly.
And capping off that, you know, suspenseful, like building off this theme of the devil tritones, and then capping it off with, what was that?
Cinematic percussion. Where is it? There we go. Spitfire cinematic percussion. So now we can ignore these two, and this is how it begins. Let's have a look at the screen.
Look at the screen! So for that section, I know what I wanted was, I left any kind of Foley or sound out of that. I wanted some kind of mysterious orchestral sound, but something a bit ominous to insinuate this book opening has something to do with what we see next.
To create this sound, we use Spitfirelabs Frozen Strings Harmonic Birdsong Violin. And I layer that with a Frozen Strings cello.
There's almost a slight out of tuneness about it, which I really liked.
It's kind of discordant. Actually very discordant. And together, here's what they sound like.
There was even something about that tail end there that kind of like echoed at a low frequency that was a bit, haunting, which I thought was great.
Which we now move into the body of the song, where for the most part, we just let it run.
So tying back to the previous episode, that is the song.
Well, thank you.
In case they didn't figure it out.
So we don't do, because the song is so fully formed in itself, we don't actually do anything till the ending part of the film.
However, there is a moment that I felt that we wanted this additional assistance from the from BBC Labs.
Yep. Spitfirelabs.
Spitfirelabs.
They have something called the Granular Whale Song Nautilus, which it's amazing what they did is they recorded whales and then they took the sound of the whales and turned it into a playable instrument.
So haunting.
So I took a couple of choice demonic notes, and this is what it sounds like.
such a great sound because obviously it was recorded from an actual living creature, and that's why it's got this
Or maybe dying.
living, dying, as tempting, and it's got this, screeching, haunting, like a spirit leaving a body kind of element to it, which now you can hear it against the Night Gone song track to hear, how it accentuated that moment.
And we pretty much laid over this Granular whale song with the symphonic black metal theme.
That's what I said, bastard.
And it creates a more, it adds to what's already the imagery. Because this is the scene where the hands rise up from behind. So we felt we needed one more extra element to create that emotion. So have a look at the screen.
And it's still going.
Yeah, it just keeps echoing on, which helps, I think, create that nightmare dream sequence a bit more. Anything to add, sir?
No, I mean the fact that it keeps going, it's a really nice, I know when I was mixing in this composition, we call it a composition, these orchestral atmospheric elements in, I just wanted to let it ring out so it would naturally fade in, but it also has this, flowing into this scene where she's escaping from this demon, it really just kind of flows through into it.
Now moving on, this is something that I think when I first got Spitfire Labs, we discovered this thing called the Amplified Cello Quartet. And straight away we thought, bang, horror film. Alright, so here's Amplified Cello Quartet on the Chatter.
Very kind of more old school conventional horror sounds, which I love.
Here we use that for the fridge scene. Let's have a look.
So it was a really great moment to be able to, for one, we knew we wanted to use this at some point, and we thought this was a great moment of continuing from that last episode where you could see the Night Gone song actually takes a break for a moment of tension where it suddenly cuts off that jin 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 and then it echoes off.
Let's just hear that one more time. So I'm using the mod wheel here to turn up the dynamics, and what happens is the longer you hold this down,
it really builds up the intensity.
And it gives me so much control over the pacing of the film.
Well, it's interesting as well because one thing I like about it is that it's sort of like a multitude of demonic voices trying to argue over each other, and the more you push up on the mod wheel, the more the cacophony sets in. And so it was great to have this moment where you're trying to build tension, and you start out small, with a little moment where it comes around the corner and you get this, and then he moves a little bit further,
and we have next what they call Granular whale song. Once again, we used it twice in this project.
Granular whale song is the best.
And this is called The Depths.
So Granular whale song, The Depths.
It's a very drone-like thing once again built off those whale noises. And we use this for the part where Anna enters the cave.
It's great when you think about using, these sound effects that were recorded off living things, because now it gives the cave this living quality. You know, like she's almost, you talk about like entering the belly of a whale. And one thing that actually I gravitated to this sound was the fact that it reminded me of, and I don't know, this is probably not your influence, but for me, it reminded me of some of the soundtracks and soundscapes you get when you play some of these video games, when you're entering a deep, dark dungeon or cave, and you know there's going to be some kind of monster. And that was actually something that I took away, that I was like, I like this, that's what resonated with me.
I noticed this episode's a lot less jokey than usual, like it's like, let's get down to business right now.
Well, yeah, you know, it's the serious shit, alright? I don't know what the 3-second grab for this one, but you know, we'll come up with some joke later on. It's real forced.
So the second to last thing we have at the end is what they call, keep saying what we call, like I made it.
We're fucking made it.
Again, we use the frozen strings, and this is the cello. And here we go. So basically, that door creak, that I've layered that with, this one.
Which I like it because it's such a, you know, it's like a door creaking on its own is creepy enough, but this is almost, you know, the music lining up with the sound that's coming, you know, on screen from the door. And it's like the door is creating this extra moment of tension.
It was very interesting scoring this, because you can barely even call it scoring. I'm using a couple of choice notes, but we're more looking for sounds to help further create that sense of unease and, you know, fear for the film.
Well, it's less like you approaching it, it's less about specific notes and more about registers, because you go, okay, shit, do I want to create a more low, rumbly kind of suspense? Or do I want to create a higher end tension?
I mean, both have different sort of things. Like, if I play here, right? But because of cello, if you go really high on the cello, you have less string vibrating, and it's tighter, so you create literal tension with that. You know?
Because it's obviously like, you know, a cello strings are thick enough that they don't feel like they're gonna break, but they're being pushed. And you get this real sort of on its edge sound.
So it's a good way to think about it, I think, when scoring film. When you want to build up, you go low rumbly. And then as the film progresses and it gets really tense,
that's sort of like that calm right before the storm, whereas this is sort of the early stages of thunder and clouds.
and at the end, we have here what I call the cinematic shit your pants. Because we have these, which are amazing. You know, proper fucking like, you know.
Beautiful.
And what I did was literally...
Beautiful. And you know what, like I know generally both of us as well, but like we are not a fan of jump scares, but there are ways to use it that I think if you're smart with it, can be well done. Like I think what we had, the one at the fridge scene, where we had this tension build up, but I think a good jump scare also comes not where you expect it, you know?
So here's our final jump scare, and our jump is also using sound to create that. Let's go from the beginning of Granular Whale song, The Depths. And there we have it, the end of our two-parter.
Well, no, I think we want to have a few finishing notes on that.
Go on.
Yeah, well, first off, what a beautiful fucking package of the cinematic percussion. Really just, you know, sealing the deal there.
I have to say, Spitfire, you guys are so amazing. And in case you guys didn't know, everything that we've used here today, apart from the cinematic percussion, which is only $29 US, by the way.
Only.
That's the only thing I bought. All these other sounds are free, and Spitfire adds to them all the time. There's new sounds, there's new things I want to get, but it's great. Like, you can buy as much or as little as you need, and honestly, you could still score professional quality film stuff even with the free stuff.
Can you tell us what that package is that has things like the Granular whale song?
That's all part of Spitfirelabs.
Spitfirelabs.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that, you know, in a traditional musical setting, maybe not useful, like amplified cello quartet.
Chatter.
Right? Very discordant. You know, what we had, scary strings. Scary strings, oh, music,
So scary. These are great, you know, sounds to use, you know, when they're isolated and they can, or you can layer them, in this case with the strings, with the cello, to just create atmosphere.
I mean, when I first downloaded a lot of these packs, you kind of think like, shit, I can't really put this in a song, like it's too discordant, like Frozen Strings, as cool as it is, but
But you know what? You've got bands even like Dream Theater who can create these sort of opening soundscapes. Which, I mean, hey, you can always play with it, get it, try and put it into a song, score something. Like, there's so many things to do with it. And I want to take this opportunity just to say that even in this exercise of doing this, and even in like the various like horror films and other films we've tried to make, the thing I think to keep in mind for horror as well is two things. One, never underestimate silence, because silence can be key. If you flood your soundscape with just constant bang after bang of what you think is scary sounds, you can lose tension.
really save your scares. And I think in terms of scoring and composing as well, what I learned is there's so much option these days, both free and paid. It can be quite overwhelming when composing for orchestral stuff, soundtrack stuff. There's so many options that you need to apply limitations on yourself when writing to really
Follow
get
a
the best
theme.
result.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I hope you enjoyed this two-parter. Maybe you learned something, maybe you didn't. Let us know in the comments. And if you'd like to support us in any way, the best way to do it is to getting one of these Cynation muscle tees. You can see it over here, the beautiful ladies wearing them.
Maybe here.
Maybe wherever you can place it.
Yep.
Message us directly on Facebook, Instagram, or here on YouTube. We thank you guys so much. The channel's really been growing really well, and we like to keep going that way, and we'll bring you more useful content.
More!
Please share, like, subscribe,
Do all
comment. Yeah. We need all the help we can get because YouTube just isn't on our side.
They don't like us, probably because we say shit that they don't like to hear.
Well. Until next time.
See ya!